Well, hello everybody. You found me. I'm going to be speaking in more hushed tones tonight and a little darker because I'm at a smaller park, a little closer to my home, but it's smaller, which means the houses in the neighborhood are right around here. I don't want to disturb anybody by blathering too loudly. All right, so I did it. I am streamlining that channel and moving all of you Gideon's Army people over here. I mean, obviously you'll still be over there watching and commenting and liking. You guys are amazing. I've just got to say that right up front. You guys are incredible. But I'm tired of actually losing subs when somebody clicks on my long form. Literally, when you go in the mechanics behind the scenes on YouTube, you can see how many people subscribe to your channel because while they're watching particular videos. I have videos where I have almost 1,000 people subscribed on one video. It's like those are the days of rapid growth. It's like 900. That's my record on one video. I'm only at about 9,000, close to 10,000 subs. And that's like fully 10% of all my subs on one video. But I get 60 on some, hundreds on others. But on the long form ones, I looked at them and I have like 2 of them where I have like -5 subs. So it's like, it's not, and YouTube looks at all those analytics behind the scene. They're like, why is this? Why is he doing that? Why? I mean, I don't know how it would affect me, but if I can move all the long form stuff over to a separate channel and just streamline that one, that'll be very, fine, a finely oiled machine. Hopefully I'll get monetized. I did that today. I started that process. You have to get an AdSense account, which is how they pay you with that links to your bank account, etc. So then it's 24 to 48 hours for them to come back and say, all right, now you have this account. Then they have to review your YouTube channel. So that's the one, like, prayers, please. Once they start looking through my stuff, I went, as you can see, I pulled off all my thumbnails, and it looks like I don't even need thumbnails. I put up 2 videos today that are probably like my 5th and 6th most watched videos. That's a good sign that my people are, I'm doing it right, even without the thumbnails and without the big clickbaity subject lines. So the expression is YouTube will train you. And I try to avoid that notion, YouTube will train you, thinking, what? They're training me? It's like, no. The way you get followers, the way you get people to watch your videos, because it's really about the watches and the views. That's how you gain influence, right? It's all algorithm. It's not like you're being watched by YouTube. I mean, you can get flagged and then it'll get sent up the chain if there's enough complaints or whatever. But you adjust your content. You can say the same thing in different words and just kind of fly under the radar. And if you get monetized, then you can become more and more influential and do more good. Anyway, that's a tangent I just went on. I'm not going to make this as long as the other ones. Where are we at now? Because I got to go upload this stuff. I should tell you a personal story. A Hollywood story, maybe. I already told you how I got into the industry. I already told you how I met Jesus. All right, here's a good one. You're hearing this for the first time on YouTube, on my channel. I am the singer in a rock and roll band. Yeah, surprise. We have a music video up. Should I put the link in the description? Or should I okay, I'm not going to. Maybe someday I will. But I'll tell you where to find it. Go to my other channel, Sovereign Art Sock. And you scroll. You scroll back. And the video is called In the Pain. In the Pain. There, that's all I'm going to say. All right, so let me tell you about how that happened. So I always liked singing. I was in choir and chorus in school growing up, and people told me I had a good voice. So I like to sing. I like to sing rock and roll. And I moved around a lot. And my senior year of high school, I was, like I had mentioned before, I was like a stoner kid with long hair. So that's just the crowd that I ended up with at lunchtime or after school. And I had a couple friends. Actually, I was a senior. My one friend was a junior, and then my best friend was a dropout, so I didn't see him at school. But I'd hang out with the rockers, and I would, we'd listen to music, and I'd sing along. And I guess word got around to this band. There's a band in school, and it was all juniors. And there was a three-piece of drums, bass, and guitar. The lead guitarist is an incredible guitar player. He could play Yngwie Malmsteen and Metallica and Megadeth, and just a 16-year-old kid shredding. And they had been together for a while, and they didn't have a singer, and somebody recommended me to them, and I went and I sang, or I auditioned, I tried out, sang an Ozzy song, and they said the first two notes out of my mouth, they were like, "You're in." So here I am, I'm a brand new kid in school. This is for my first time, and this was in Tucson, in Arizona, so it's appropriate, Sweet Home, Arizona. I graduated from high school in Catalina High School in Tucson, Arizona. And this was a band, they were called Fast Forward. Kind of a generic name, but all of a sudden I'm a lead singer in a rock band. And they were popular, and they were talented. And so I actually got a few gigs for them. I had another friend who was in a band. He was college age. I don't know if he was in college, but he had a band. And they needed an opening act for a bar gig. And we were all underage, but they let us play, obviously. Got a couple gigs. Anyway, so then I graduated from high school, moved on. That's a whole nother story about what happened with the band, which I'll tell at some point. So that was the extent of my rock and roll band experience. I always wrote lyrics and wanted to be in a band and was never in a band until that happened. And I became a Christian at 18. I became a worship leader for a youth group in Northern California. So I did some singing, but was never in a rock band until I'm working at a reality TV show. I'm an editor, and there's 10 editors on this show. We all have our own episodes. It was an awful trash reality TV show called Excused. Essentially, it was like a whole season of The Bachelor in half an hour. Right? There's 4 guy daters and 2 girl daters, and there's a process of elimination, and then finally you get down to the last 2, and one of them gets to dump the other one or go out with the other one. The one that gets to the last 2. It's just hilarious, though. The hostess was a comedian, and so we just cranked out these shows, and each editor would get assigned a full episode themselves. And so I was out in the hallway meeting a couple of other editors that, you always meet people you want to network. And we're talking music, and one of these other editors had cut an episode that was all like punk rockers and rockers. I'm like, oh, I want to watch that episode. I watched his episode, and then I mentioned it out in the hallway. And I said to him, I'm like, oh yeah, I was in a band when I was in high school. And their ears perked up, these 2 guys. And they're like, oh yeah, what instrument did you play? I was like, well, I didn't play an instrument. I was a singer. And their ears perked up even higher. Long story short, these guys had just formed, a bunch of guys in their 40s, had just formed a band, and their singer had quit. So it was the drummer and the guitar player were editors on this show. The bass player was an editor on another show, and their singer was just some guy they found on Craigslist. And they were gearing up for their first gig. They had like a 10-song set, all original material. The guy had written all these lyrics. 3 weeks before the gig, the guy freaks out and quits the band. And then the gig was canceled. So I ran into them maybe like a month after this whole fiasco went down. And so they auditioned me in the bathroom. I sang like a Led Zeppelin song and a Black Sabbath song in the bathroom. And then the guitar player gives me the tracks that he had written with no vocals on them, just the music tracks, so that I could write my own lyrics. So I go home, I write lyrics to one of the songs, and then like a week later, a couple days later, we're in the parking garage at work, and I'm singing my song to their music. And they're like, yeah. So they invite me into this band, and I'll try and. It's a lot of crazy stories. We're still in the band, but they ended up naming the band after me. My last name, I'm not going to say it. You got to find it, figure it out for yourself. It was actually the lead guitar player who formed the band they didn't. We were going around and around about names, and then he goes, spits out my last name. He says, "That's kind of rock and roll." And I'm like, he goes, "We should name the band that." And I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna name the band after me?" And then we played 3 gigs. It was fun. The first gig was amazing, and then we played these holes in the wall and nobody was there, which is like a nightmare. And the guitar player was in another band, so he was more interested in his other band. And I booked a 4th gig. I'm like, let's play this gig, and he's like, no. And there was this other guy we met. God, this story is getting longer. Well, this is a long form channel. So we had written that one original song, 2 original songs, but the first one we wanted to record it. So we found the bass player who worked at this other place said a guy at his work said he would record us for free. So we're at that guy's house. When we're doing the drums first, a rough scratch bass, scratch vocals, and the guitar player shows up and he listens to what's going on. He's disgusted and he leaves. So the guy who's recording us learns the guitar part real quick. So we record the song with that guy, and he really liked the song. I had scheduled this other gig, and the guitar player said, no, I don't want to play it. So I go to that guy who recorded us. I'm like, would you play a gig for us? Now, I'll tell you about him if you want we'll talk more band stuff in another episode if you want. But this guy has played Madison Square Gardens. This guy who recorded us, he opened for a huge headliner, and he was friends with that band. So he played all over the world in major stadiums, and I'm asking him to play a dive, hole in the wall bar gig, and he's like, yeah, because he loved our music. We did a bunch of covers. We did that original song, and it was our best gig yet. The next day at work, I fired the founding member of the band who named it after me. I said, you didn't want to play the gig, we played it, you're fired. It was really crazy. One other thing, like, why am I in a band at my age? My wife, like, what are you talking about? You're gonna go to band practice and play gigs? Are you just having midlife crisis? I swear, I'm honest. I was just doing it to network. These guys are editors. That's what you do. They're gonna move on to other shows, and if you can't find another show to get on, you just call them up and say, yeah. It turns out the bass player worked at Entertainment Tonight, which is where I was hired next, which is where I got my Emmy, because I joined a rock band. All right, that's it. See you guys next time. God bless you all.